I have been working at North Central for 14 years.
Right.
I started during the summer of 2001. And when I was a little kid growing up in Wisconsin, the coach of the Green Bay Packers was Vince Lombardi, and Vince Lombardi is known as a person who strove for excellence in everything. And growing up in Wisconsin during that time period, that was kind of the tone that he set. And a lot of fathers try to pass that on to their sons, and as my father tried with me. And he instilled in me a very strong work ethic. Some people might describe it as a Protestant work ethic, but I think it's just a strong work ethic. And it's important to do what you say you're going to do it to the best of your ability, and work at it until it's done. And if there is a job that perhaps maybe you don't feel up to, then it's important that you recognize that, and let the person know before you begin that job that I'm sorry, I'm not the right person for this. Maybe I can recommend you to use someone else. But once you agree to do something, your word is your bond, and it's absolutely essential that you do so. And if that means that other aspects of your life have to suffer as a result of that, then so be it. But your word has to have meaning. I believe that I glorify God at North Central just by being myself. I feel that it's important to exemplify Christ's Spirit in the way that I manage the students and conduct myself while I do business. I want students to basically see Christ through me doing my job as a servant, trying to be as hospitable as I possibly can. And that also means that there are going to be times when perhaps things don't go well, or that I might get upset or angry, but I need to be very careful to control my anger and be careful what I say, and just really think about how I impact the students around me.
Honestly, a lot of people, Greg sometimes may come off as like this hardworking guy who's just in the mode to work and not really communicate or talk with you, but actually he really cares about people, and definitely the workers. So you wouldn't see that seeing Greg at a catering or at work, because he's focused and he's serious. But honestly, he does a lot of things that shows that he cares about his employees and he cares about the students. Something I think that a lot of people think about God, a lot of people view God as this big, strict, rule-making being, but actually I think there's a lot more compassion and care than especially people on the outside would think. There were three main characteristics that came up that I thought about. The first one being hardworking, obviously. He is one of the most hardworking people that I've ever met. And he puts in more hours than anybody I've ever met. But along with that, kind of in tandem, is like dependability. Like, I can't ever remember a time where, I've been here for like 6, 7 years, and I can't ever remember a time where Greg wasn't there when he said he was going to be, or didn't deliver on time like he said he was going to. So dependability is huge for me, especially. And then, like I said, his compassion for the employees and for the students, and like, it's kind of weird because you'd get nervous about telling him something, like I need to tell him like I need this day off because I have to do this thing with my kids or with my wife. And so I'd be like, oh crap, he's gonna be upset, he's gonna be mad because I have to miss work. And then you go in there and you tell him, and he's just like, oh yeah, no problem, all right, that sounds good. And it's like, oh, well, he's just a lot more not relational, but compassionate than a lot of people would expect.
I've seen a couple of different angles, because I've worked for him this past year, but I also was in student leadership as a student at North Central, and I actually had some events that I planned through Greg for catering and whatnot, and I just remember I've always had a really positive experience with him. I've never felt like an inconvenience. I never felt like what I was asking was too much, and I could have a straight conversation with him and understand where he's at, where I'm at, and where we can go from there. And that was especially my experience as a student. And I think working for him, I've really seen how, I kind of mentioned earlier, how not sweating the small stuff, how he does so much and just doesn't let the small petty things sort of get in the way of everything. And your dad, he's the bomb.